Hi, my name is Russell Della Peña, and this is my lovely wife, Diana Della Peña, and we're the owners and founders of TenantBuyerList.com. I'm a former top producing realtor with Keller Williams Realty and RE/MAX. And about 8 years ago, I became a full-time real estate investor that specializes in creative seller financing across the United States. I've served the needs of countless sellers, buyers, and realtors during that time. And today, I want to serve your needs and the needs of the sellers that you come across, but until now, may have not been able to help. That's all going to change because I'm going to be teaching you how to help your seller sell for their full asking price and without charging them a commission. So, who can you help? Well, sellers with no equity, sellers with equity, but who do not want to pay you a commission or a fee. Sellers who are slightly upside down and owe more on their home than it's worth. Sellers who are listed with you, but the listing is about to expire soon. Sellers who are behind in their payments and who are heading into foreclosure soon. Sellers who want their full asking price. Sellers who can no longer make their payments due to a loss of the primary income earner passing away. Sellers who must sell fast because they must move out of state due to a new job or other reason. You can help all of them when you learn to structure your business slightly different than you have it now. The problem is most realtors are not trained in creative seller financing exit strategies. As a former realtor myself with both Keller Williams Realty and RE/MAX City Horizons out of Denver, Colorado, I had no clue about how to structure a rent-to-own transaction or seller finance transaction. I had only been taught one way to sell property, the conventional way. Find a buyer who gets finance from a bank, show them a house, and then close the deal. But I was helpless when I ran across the kind of sellers I just mentioned because I didn't have a way to help them instill profit. Maybe you can relate. The solution? Well, about 8 years ago, I went from a realtor to a private real estate investor that learned creative seller financing exit strategies. I learned how to solve practically any problem a seller was faced with and still earn a fair profit from all the work and skill I brought to the table. And that's what I want to share with you today. The truth is, if you don't know how to help every single seller that you come across, you're losing money. Not to mention all of the sellers you could have helped and served are now going to walk away without a solution to their problems. When sellers come to you without equity or with equity, but they don't or can't pay you as commission, you can still help them and still profit when you learn creative seller financing strategies that we use every single day in our nationwide business. For example, your seller has a home worth $300,000, but they owe $310,000. Clearly, there isn't enough equity in the home to pay your 6% commissions and their closing costs. But what if instead of acting as their representative, you were able to switch hats and act as a principal instead? Doing so would allow you to add what is called an option assignment fee on top of what they owe. In this example, $310,000. Let's say your assignment fee was going to be $10,000. And let's say that you gave your seller what is called an option fee for $10,000 also that comes from the buyer. So the buyer will be putting down $20,000 total. And let's say you put your $10,000 on top of the $310,000 to make the new price $320,000. But since the home will be sold rent to own, the buyer will be able to rent with the option to buy for the next 3 years. So even though we're asking more than the home is worth, and because there will be no appraisal today, you can still sell the home for a little higher than the current market value because you're selling on terms. What's in it for the seller? Well, the seller now has found a buyer that is willing to buy based on a future price value. The seller has someone to now take over the payments on the home. The seller got their full asking price and even somewhat more without paying a commission. And because of the way you're selling the home, they were able to open their house up to 300 times the market exposure than before. because you're now attracting buyers that were just going to rent only. And you can even structure the deal so that the tenant buyer will be responsible for the first $5,000 or $10,000 in any kind of repair, so that the seller never has to become a landlord and fix toilets or leaky roofs, ever. And you don't have to lose any more money from today forward when property owners call with unique situations that require creative seller financing. Now you can help each one of them get exactly what they want, and you can be compensated upfront once the home has been rented and sold. What's in it for the buyer? Well, because the tenant buyer is putting down a lot more than for the option, there are no credit checks. Their down payment becomes their credit and is the seller's protection against defaulting on payments. And if the tenant buyer does stop paying, the seller can evict them. That's because the title and loan stay in the seller's name. We say that documentation beats conversation. So you still want to have the tenant buyer submit all of their financials. You and the seller will still check their income, their proof of funds to close, their rental history, their background checks, rental applications with references, and more, so they can demonstrate that any past credit issues are indeed in the past and not still a problem. At the end of the day, tenant buyers who have just put down far more than the average tenant would, which is usually just a small security deposit equal to the first month's rent, they're far less likely to destroy the home and default on their payments since they have far more to lose. And because they usually need to buy time, buying rent to own or with seller financing affords them time to fix any issues with their credit, or not enough saved up for their down payment, or maybe they're self-employed and only have 1 year on the job and the bank is requiring 2. The folks we've worked with over the last 8 years across the country love the idea of having their money go towards something each month, instead of right into the trash in rent payments. What's in it for you? Well, you now have many more tools in your toolbox, and you can now double, triple, even quadruple your income this year by serving more and more would-be sellers that had no options until you came along. And because of the way we're selling the home, you won't have to deal with banks, appraisers, credit checks, and months of trying to get your deals closed. We average 7 to 14 days start to finish and even close in less than a week at times. Whereas many realtors can wait 3 months, 6 months, or more to close their deals, assuming they even close. But not for you, because you can now close every deal that comes across your desk. You simply want to talk to your managing broker about how to legally document your acting as a principal in these transactions instead of the seller's representative. The end results will be that the seller got what they wanted and the tenant buyer got what they wanted, and you got what you wanted too. So what's the next step? Well, we've got 2 ways that we can help you right now. The first way is we can work with you and your sellers together by structuring these kinds of deals with you. The second way is by you doing it all on your own after you've learned how to do what we do when you join our inner circle today. Either option is perfectly fine with us. So here's what to do next. Explore both of those options now and see which option is right for you. If you have a seller that you need to help with right now, click on the appropriate button below and give us as much detail as you can, and we'll create a creative seller financing solution. If you're interested in learning more about how to structure practically any kind of transaction where everyone wins through creative seller financing, choose the option now. Thank you so much for watching this presentation, and we look forward to serving you and your clients. Choose the option that's right for you now.